On Fanalysis, we use the analytics made famous in fantasy football and combine it with the betting trend analysis. And the results are the sharpest lines from the pro bettors. Joining me to find those angles, Jared Smith of SportsGrid once again. Good to have you in, and we'll start things off talking about the top plays of Week 13. These
Good place to start.
Well, sure, why not? We're not going to save those for the end.
No.
We're giving those
right
to you right from the beginning. These are the games that the pros are really hammering with some heavy money, and the Giants-Packers is a game that everybody is taking a close eye on, or keeping a close eye on. The Giants are getting 6.5 on the road. When 90% of the tickets are on Green Bay, how do the pros respond to that?
Well, the pros respond by taking the Giants. This line actually opened at 7.5, and they bet it past that key number of 7. And, of course, if you're in the NFL, 7 and 3. Those are the big numbers. If you see lines go past those key numbers, you know that something's cooking here.
Right.
So the Giants as a home dog, I've been fading Aaron Rodgers and the Packers all year. They seem like an overvalued team. The public loves to bet Green Bay. That kind of led me to the Giants in this spot. Home dog, I'm going to take the points.
All right. Saquon Barkley has not exactly looked the same since that ankle injury. He says that he's the same guy. He swears he's okay. Do the pros believe him?
I think this feels like a get-right spot for Barkley. We haven't seen that explosiveness. We haven't seen that first-year Saquon Barkley run that we were seeing last year. Packers 28th DVOA against the run. So the things that the Giants are trying to do in this game, which is establish the run, keep Daniel Jones upright, the Packers don't do that well on the defensive side. That's why I'm leaning New York in this game. It just feels like a good spot for them. Even if they don't win, 6.5 on the road is a lot of points to lay, and the fact that the line moved through 7 leads me to indicate that the Giants are going to cover this one.
Did you have that storyline in your head already planned out with Saquon Barkley being able to run against a bad DVOA defense, or did the line movement actually trigger this?
That's a great question, because that's usually where I start. So when I look at a game, the first thing I'll look at is where the line moves, where it started, where it moves, who's the public on. Then that'll kind of key me into certain games that I kind of, factor on. So the fact that this game moved from 7.5 to 6.5, I was like, okay, I need to take a hard look at the Giants here. What are the pros telling me? Why did this line move past 7? Then I looked at the rushing defense stats for the Packers, and that kind of keyed me in there.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the Texans. 3-point home dogs against the Patriots. What has the line movement in this game told you a little bit?
It's funny, because everything that I liked about the Packers and the Giants game, it's kind of the opposite in this game. And this is where the gut feel handicapping does come in to account, because all of the public obviously is going to be on the Patriots. The Patriots are one of the heaviest public bet teams every week.
And rightfully so.
Exactly.
I mean, you're going to be safe if you were betting the Patriots every week.
You're doing pretty well. However, they didn't cover last week.
That's okay.
So you get to this point in the season where you look at games more in a coaching and an analytical standpoint. The coaching matchup here is what swung me to the Patriots. Bill Belichick does not do well against his former predecessor. 0-4 in the regular season, 0-1 in the postseason. This line was short enough for me to get on. That being said, we've seen movement. It's gone from 3 to 3.5. We mentioned this before we came on. That 3 number, just like the 7 number, that 3 number is a good pivot point. I saw that line go from 3 to now -3.5. It continues to push towards the Patriots. I wouldn't be surprised to see it get to 4 by game time on Sunday night. The Patriots are definitely the right side.
And you talk about the issues, or I guess trying to tell the story of a game. The fact that J.J. Watt puts so much pressure on the quarterback, and Tom Brady doesn't like to move off of his spot. That's a story that plays out. But another story is on the other side of the ball, and Deshaun Watson, boy, he did not look good in his last big matchup against the Ravens. When you take a look at what he did in that game, does it affect maybe how the pros rate his potential in this game going up against #1 defense?
Yeah, that's the big difference. The Ravens defense hasn't played well. Patriots defense clearly has. Something about Bill Belichick. Every time people count out the Patriots, and I know you're counting them out, they won last week. They didn't play great last week. Tom Brady hasn't played great this season. He's shown a few chinks in the armor, but it just feels like the right spot for them to go into Houston and kind of take control of Bill Belichick and what they've done in the past with Bill Belichick going against Bill O'Brien.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Vikings here, getting 3 points on the road in Seattle.
Tough game.
Well, the recent rise, I feel like the recent rise of Kirk Cousins has influenced this a little bit. Do you think that it's influenced which side of the ball you want to be on?
Cousins has looked better. I mean, it's obviously a tough spot, him going on the road, but this Vikings offense does one thing really well, which takes a lot of pressure off Kirk Cousins, and that's run the football. Dalvin Cook has been unbelievable this season. I do like the fact that the public is betting Seattle, but the money is slightly favored Minnesota in this game. That tells me that a lot of public tickets are coming in on Seattle, but the big bets, the sharps, are still backing the Vikings. This is another line move off of 3. Vikings +3. If you can get a +3 right now, that's great. We're seeing a lot of 2.5s in the marketplace right now. Again, the 7 and the 3 line dichotomy there when it kind of shifts from one side to the other, sometimes that can push you in the right direction if you're kind of tossed up about a game.
Well, okay, so Seattle hasn't exactly had that home field advantage that we've come to know and love out of the Seahawks.
Very surprising.
But in this game, in this setting, that might scare people who are moving off of Seattle's line.
It could. Keep an eye on Adam Thielen and Jadeveon Clowney this week. Both of those guys are key players for their obviously respective teams. I think the Seahawks need Clowney more than the Vikings need Thielen. So if Clowney sits, I think this line actually might get down to 2, 1.5 by game time. The Vikings are the sharper side here, but that doesn't always cover for you.
All right, the Ravens at home giving 5.5
this game's
to the Niners. This one is going to be a great game. I mean, this is another battle of heavyweights. So how are the pros seeing it?
I mean, it seems like a Super Bowl preview. We've seen Baltimore money come in early. We've pushed it from 4.5 to 5.5. It's in that weird kind of no man's land of a line right now. Anywhere between 4 and 6, any big bet in either direction might push this line towards one team or the other. So I wouldn't take the line movement into account much here. San Francisco getting 5.5, based on what we've seen from the Niners, seems to be the right play, but sometimes Vegas has this way of throwing you a line that says, wow, the Niners have looked so good this year, you're getting almost a touchdown with them. I think you're going to see a lot of people come in on San Francisco late, but Baltimore has been the more, I'd say Baltimore's been the sharpest side of the year, just based on what they do offensively, but offense is going to be the key in this game. These teams run the ball unlike any rushing offenses I've ever seen in the NFL.
Right,
Lamar Jackson is the most dynamic playmaker in football, and of course we've seen what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. I do expect there to be some points in this game. It's a shame this isn't a primetime game.
Right, so you like the over in this and the Ravens on this one as well,
yeah,
right?
I'll lean Ravens just because that's where the early money's come in on, but I do think that neither defense is going to be able to stop the other offense.
We saw what Lamar Jackson did, just dismantling that Rams defense, but it's a big step up to go to the Niners defense. Or as you've said before in the past, it's the way the Ravens run the ball, the way they move the ball down the field is so unnatural. It's almost like you can't find a metric that measures up against any other team.
Very, very hard to quantify what they do because it's not. I've seen them run the triple option. I mean, how often do you see? I've seen them have put Robert Griffin III on the field and run a triple option.
Right.
With Ingram and RG3 and Lamar Jackson, 3 Heisman Trophy winners in the same backfield running the triple. It's very hard to defend. I have a feeling that Harbaugh's going to have some tricks up his sleeve in this game. And you actually mentioned it to me before. This is the rematch of that Harbaugh Super Bowl.
Right.
Obviously without one of the Harbaughs this time around. But this very well could be your Super Bowl preview.
Well, we kind of hope to expect something like that because we've seen this. And with the Ravens specifically, I don't think it matters who they hand the ball off to.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even matter who's 35, Gus Edwards.
The Gus boss.
Yeah, they get the ball to him. It's almost like he gets as many yards when they hand the ball off to him as it is with Mark Ingram as well.
Yeah, and another key factor in this game, George Kittle looks healthy.
Okay.
He looked healthy last week. And again, every trend that I look at in this game points me to offense. And so when I see these DVOA numbers kind of sink and I see the rushing offense numbers climb, it leads me to believe that both teams, and again, a lot of people think, oh, well, they're rushing teams, the clock's going to move, and there's not going to be a lot of points in the red zone. If you can run the ball, field goals turn into touchdowns, and that's how you hit over.
It's a matter of which quarterback do you trust more, Lamar Jackson, Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's probably going to be Lamar Jackson. I think we'll take Lamar Jackson every day. That's a look at his top plays for Week 13. Make sure you check out our other segments on leans and toss-ups, and keep up to date on the line movement by going to sportsline.com. For Jared Smith of SportsGrid, I'm Steve Overmyer, and this is Fanalysis.